All right, we are live. It is DAC Talk. It is episode number 8. We are talking your business and tech questions. My name is Dave Shrein, and this is my friend Charissa Moore. Say hi, Charissa.
Hi guys.
How are you doing tonight?
Hello, hello. I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I think we're talking about something that everybody can benefit from. So I'm excited to talk about this because it's a good one. We get asked a lot of questions, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. Pretty much every conference that I go to, with anybody who does anything like online, everybody's interested in the strategy. Everybody's interested in the tools, like the kind of the approach to doing things. But when it actually comes down to what they use for tech, like everybody's fascinated and they have a million questions because I think there's just so many options out there that when you see somebody else who seems to have their stuff together, you're like, well, I'll just do whatever they do because obviously if they're doing that, then they have a reason for it, and if there's a reason for it, then it's probably good enough for me too. So everybody seems to be interested in this topic. But before we get into it, two things. The first of which is we were jamming out. Well, at least we were sending each other music back and forth before I clicked the big green start button, and it made me wonder. It got me thinking, like, what type of music are you listening to right now?
Oh, like currently?
Not like this second, but like,
Well,
day in,
no,
day
but
out, what
like,
kind of stuff
what do
are
I
you listening
like? Ooh, that's good. Um,
to? Because you're
so
pretty
let's see. I've
mellow.
been really, huh?
You're mellow.
Yeah, I'm mellow. I've been into like super mellow chill out music. Last week I was insane. I led a workshop and so I was trying to like combat my craziness with having to edit 11 students worth of copy with like mellow music. But I really like people like Peter Bradley Adams. I'm really into Fleet Foxes. I love Boy and Bear. I saw them live in Seattle in November and totally crushed on their lead singer. So yeah. I like
Very,
mellowy stuff like that. But
yeah.
today I was cleaning and I rocked out to like Jackson 5 and Arcade Fire and Peter Frampton and the Beatles. So I mean, goes very, very well versed in lots of music.
All over the place. I used
Yeah.
to listen to all sorts of different music. Used to listen to the radio, and then all of a sudden I got the disease of parents, I guess. I don't know, and I just kind of hopped off the music train. I said, that's it, no more. And I was pretty much just Jimmy Eat World, Anne Berlin,
Yeah.
and U2 repeating over and over and over again.
Three really good ones.
Hey,
They're all like, same
you're
genre, really good.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so. Let's get back into it. Let's get into the topic at hand. If you are watching with us or if you are interacting with us after the fact, like you're watching this on replay, you can still engage with us. We're using the hashtag right up here. It's hashtag DACTalk, DACTALK. And if you have any questions throughout this entire hour, just tweet us. We're both watching Twitter right now. We're both monitoring that handle, and so we'll get to your questions. And it's honestly an opportunity to pick our brains for free. So take advantage of it. But we're talking about this idea, and like you said, it's an important one. It's one that everybody runs into at some point in time, and it's just this idea of tech and business and how the two collide. And really, I wanted to start off, before we get into the stuff that we use, Charissa, what I wanted to start off with is kind of demystifying or, kind of putting to rest some of the myths about tech and business. And the big one that I could think about, the biggest myth, I've got it all written down here, that I could think about that people have when it comes to tech is that they think they have to be a techie, somebody who's like up on the latest and the greatest in order to utilize technology in their business. I know that I help plenty of clients, friends, family members, and their response to even the simplest of tasks, I mean, not even just simple to me, like, simple tasks like opening up an application, like really basic elementary level tasks. They're just like, well, I'm just not a techie. And the truth is I think a lot of that is really some personal stuff. People like psych themselves out. They label themselves as a non-techie. And so whether it's for fear of being embarrassed or for fear of trying something new, like they label themselves that and then they lean into it. And they say, well, since I'm not a techie, I can't do this. Since I'm not a techie, I can't do that. Since I'm not a techie, I can't use a smartphone. And they kind of put themselves into a corner and don't give themselves the freedom to actually, find processes, systems, programs, services, tech things that actually speak their language and work for them, because that's the beauty of the internet. If you can find one thing that serves one purpose, you could probably find 10 other programs, 15, 20, 100 other programs or services that do the exact same thing, just painting it with a different brush. So I think that's, I mean, I've got a list of things here, but I think that's the biggest one I find with business owners, is that they think they have to be a techie in order to use technology. Do you run into, people that you interact with really, having, what type of misconceptions do they have about technology that you run into?
So, because I work in marketing, I have a lot of clients that just want to find the one system that will fix everything and it will just keep working for forever, and they never have to look at it and they never have to touch it. And they're looking for the little matrix pill that they can take and, oh my gosh, it's going to set my finances and my business and my, my life free. And you guys, I really wish that that's how it worked, because my job, my life would be so much easier. I'd be able to be on a beach right now instead of working. How it works. It's not how it works. So I have a lot of people, I hear it from a significant amount of my clients. I hear it that, well, I just need a system. I just really need to find a system that works and I can just set it up and, leave it. It's not how it works. Marketing for me, and especially when I'm writing copy for a client or for myself, is really about analytics and watching your stats and seeing what is engaging and what's converting and split testing and all of that. So technology does have a place, a very, very big place, especially in what I do online every day, but you won't find something that you can set and just go for the most part, especially when it comes to marketing. There are examples that we'll get into, but for the most part, there's not one system you can just set and leave and never touch and not think about, and you're just going to, triple your bank account in a week.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that is part of the frustration that people have, is that they think that they see other people running their businesses so smoothly, and they hear things like, oh, I took a month and worked remotely in Hawaii and clocked in for 2 hours a day. And, we talked about this, I think, last week, but yeah, that might be the case after 5 years of putting in, 50-hour work weeks, and you found a system that allows you to do that and have minor touch points, but it's not a magic pill. It's a series of finding what works for you, and then deciding how to maintain it. A couple other things, I'm not going to spend time on them, but that I just wrote down was, I can't afford to hire somebody to help me with tech. I think that's a big misconception that people have for two reasons. One, you can find there's always somebody who you can afford, be it but you have to have your expectations right. If you're expecting to have somebody pump it out real quick, but you expect to pay $10 an hour, those expectations aren't realistic. However, if you expect to pay, $250 an hour, they might be able to whip it out in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, depending on what the thing is. So you need to have expectations correctly. So you can afford to hire someone just as long as you have those expectations set. I think another facet of that is you can't afford not to hire somebody. Okay, when you're talking about trying to get your business up and running, when you're talking about trying to get the actual shopping cart function on your website going, or you're talking about trying to get Google Analytics installed on your website so that you can track your website statistics, you can't afford not to hire somebody if you're not going to be able to do it yourself. A couple other things I wrote down. One mistake is people say, I'm not a web person, but I'm going to go ahead and make my own website. And there's tools to help facilitate that. But if you have any ability to bring somebody in who can at least point you in the right direction, you want to do that. I mean, if you're not a mechanic, don't go out and try to replace, your engine. Let a mechanic handle it, because you depend on that car. In the same way, let a web designer come alongside you and help you, because you're not a web designer, they are. I see you kind of agreeing there, Charissa. You agree with that one?
Yeah, I think too, for me, that I know that we've talked about time management a lot, and that kind of bleeds into that a little bit for me. I'm so of the mindset that you should do what you're good at and delegate the rest. Do what you do best, delegate the rest, because you're the only one that can do business the way that you do it, right? I preach this all the time to my clients and my customers and the people that take my workshops, and you guys, every single time I'm here. Do what you do and do what you do best. If you are not good at numbers, don't be your own accountant. If you are not good at web design,
Yeah.
Don't make your own website. Yeah, like wait till you can have, even a little bit, a little fund, or pay someone, or trade if you have to, trade someone that can know what they're doing and that's their strong suit, because that will allow you, instead of spending your precious time on doing something that you don't like to do, you're not comfortable doing, and you haven't done a lot, you'll be able to do what you're good at. So yeah, I totally agree.
Absolutely, and I think you need to look at when thinking about spending money and hiring somebody, you need to look at it less of parting with money, and you need to look at it more as an investment in your business. I mean, if you're truly going after this thing, you're going to have to spend money, so you need to save money. You need to have money set aside to make certain things happen. Because I just dropped $300 on a little WordPress plugin that I have to have in order to make an initiative of mine work. I could try to do it with free tools and searching web forums, but my time is too precious. So I had to spend that money in order to get what it was I needed to invest in my business and come around the other side. I'm not going to hit on this very hard, but another facet of that is I'm not a designer, but I can make my own graphics. Hire a designer. You can't afford to not hire a designer. Honestly,
Yeah.
like, hire a designer, because your first impression online is going to be the impression that you are going to have to overcome if it's not a good one. Are there any other common misconceptions that you see?
I
I'm
see
sure
a
there
lot
are,
of
but are
people.
there any that kind of
Yeah.
come to your mind right now?
Yeah, I see a lot of people that really don't want to put in the time. They just want something to be a quick fix. That's Band-Aids work, right? That's why they exist, because they cover things over and they're quick. But if you have something that requires stitches and you put a Band-Aid on it, you're going to be in big trouble in just a few seconds when that stuff bleeds out. So my challenge to you guys is really, through tonight, find the systems that we have recommended or that we like, or try the ones that we didn't have major success with. Find something that resonates with you and try it, but please give it a fair chance. Stick it
Yep.
out, put in a little bit of effort, give it a good try. Don't just poke around and, oh, well, I just don't like it. See if you actually like it. Work with it for a week or for 5 days or for whatever, and try stuff, because it's really it's not fair to judge a system if you haven't given it everything that it can handle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. As a matter of fact, the next question that I kind of wanted to step into was just the idea of what are some of the common problems or missteps you see business owners make. And one that I see, I have it written down right here, I'll read it. They don't put in the time to read and learn how something works, or the time to experiment long enough to understand it. And they wind up faulting the application, they wind up getting frustrated
Yeah.
with developers, they wind up
Hmm.
losing their mind, and it's simply because they didn't read, or they didn't walk through the 3-minute tutorial. They expected it to just be intuitive. Now, things should be intuitive. I mean, if you read
Yeah.
and watch and you still can't use it, ditch it, because it's a waste of your time. But you got to
Right.
give it time, and you got to educate yourself. Another thing that I wrote down, what are some of the common problems business owners run into? They try and use too much new tech at one time, and this is a really big one, especially for business owners who really are not techie. What will happen is I see people, especially when they're trying to mimic someone else's setup, they will download all these new applications. They'll put new apps on their phone. They'll go to all these new services and sign up, and then they wind up doing two things. One, they never learn how to implement the new piece of technology into their flow, so they don't know exactly where it fits, and they can't determine whether or not it's a waste of time. And two, they never really figure out how to maximize that particular application, software, whatever the case might be. They never figure out how to maximize it, because they're always looking for something new and always adding something into the fold. So someone like me, I'm really good at tech. I just get it, I understand it, I explain it to people, so I can try multiple things at a time. But even I have my limits with quantity and type of
Yeah.
technology. Like,
Mhm.
I know my limits. So I guess that's ultimately what I'm saying. Like, only introduce an amount of new tech into your life at one period of time, where you can actually not master it, but you can get a pretty good handle on how it works and how to implement it into your flow. Into your flow within a matter of a week, maybe a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, depending on
Mhm.
what it is you're going after. Other problems you see that business owners run into very frequently or make.
I think that A lot of people are systems addicts. So you
Yeah.
have one thing to do your client communication, you have one thing to do your invoices, and then you have another thing to do your email, and then you have another thing to do your calendar, and then you have another thing to do your contracts, and then you have another one to manage your staff, and it just is a huge nightmare. Like I've told you guys this, I say this all the time. I love calendar apps. I use one of them. I've tried 5,000 of them, but I use one, and we'll talk about the one that I use. I love it, and I love it because it works. And if I had all of my appointments in 5,000 calendars, I would be a crazy person. I probably wouldn't have shown up tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't. I would say don't spread yourself too thin. Piggybacking off of Dave's point here, try if you're going to implement new stuff, take one or two new things and integrate them into the systems you already have going. And if you want to phase the ones that you're not liking anymore out, do that, but make it, a fluid process where you're not just scrapping everything that you have and then having to start from scratch, because if those don't work, you're going to be doing that whole thing again in 6 weeks, and then you're going to hate your life, and your team is going to hate your life, and your clients are going to hate your life.
Yep. Yep. You hit it square on the
Yeah.
head. So, hey, if you guys want to interact with us, use the hashtag DACTalk up here. And I see we've got a great group of people, some of my most favorite people in the world, tweeting out tonight. So thank you, everybody. And Kyle, my boy Kyle, just asked a question. He says, Charissa, do you recommend specific apps or tech for new startups? NPO specifics versus business models. What does NPO specifics mean? I'm probably revealing my ignorance. Do you know what that means?
I took it to mean nonprofit. If that's not
Is that
what
what
that
you mean
means,
by
though, correct
nonprofit?
us. That's what I assume you to mean, but if that's not what you mean, correct us. We can skip that and come back to it so that
Yeah. Well, I have
I
another
don't
one
know
as well. It
how
came
fast
in
you can
earlier on DAC Talk from my friend Diane Markins. She's just fantastic. She's at Diane Markins on Twitter, and she says, I'm blasted with pitches for help with
Oh,
social
yeah.
media and web stuff. How do you choose? And so basically what Diane's saying is, like, everybody's hawking their service, be
Yeah.
it consultants, be it software programs, be it independent freelancers. How do you choose which one to go with? Charissa, do you want to take this?
Yeah, so Dave can probably tell you what I'm going to say because I say it all the time. When I have to pick between clients, so right now I take 3 clients a month because I want to. I have 3 clients a month, and I teach a workshop one
Wait,
week out
I
of the
need
month.
to just say something. I heard you slip it in there. I take three
What?
clients a month because I want to. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
You
I
guys
heard you
really use a
slip it in there,
choice.
and I was like, I got to call that out because
Yeah.
she was intentional about saying because I
Yeah.
want to. So, anyways, just keep going. I had to call that out though because I heard it.
Yeah, as a writer, I'm very intentional with my words, so I don't usually say things I don't mean. I try really hard not to. So yeah, I work with 3 clients a month because I want to and because that's my choice. And my point for saying that, Diane, is that get really, really clear on who you want to work with if you're not already. If you are, kudos, because you're probably 75% of the way there. Got to get really clear on who you want to work with and clear on who you do not want to work with. That'll help weed out a lot of those people, a lot of those pitches. If you have a lot of things that you are getting pulled towards, like a lot of clients that want to work with you, or requests for work, or people that are interested in your services, that's great intel for you. It means that your copy is really strong, your website's strong, your marketing is strong, you have a great product. But here's where Dave can probably tell you what I'm going to say verbatim. If the client is not a hell yes, it's a hell no. That is how I do business. That's how I've always done business, and it has never steered me wrong. If it is not something that you are jumping out of your chair, dancing in your kitchen about, do not work with them, because they're going to be able to tell, you're going to be able to tell, and you're just going to end up drained and resenting yourself and being burned out. So as far as that goes, only work with people that light you up. Just being honest, it's kind of a character thing. Work with people you want to work with because you want to work with them. Having a client onboarding system for once you decide who you want to work with, having them come through your onboarding system and getting them into, knowing who you are and how you work and those kind of things. We'll talk about that. That's definitely a good process, but only work with people that you love.
Yeah,
That's my
absolutely.
advice.
And then to drill down a little bit more on that, Diane, if you're looking at people selling services like a software service, one of my favorites is Buffer. And another one that I'm going to mention tonight is called Edgar. It's a new one, and it's people saying, hey, use my software to schedule your tweets. What I would do is I would say if you're currently unhappy with a software that you're using, be it social media or whatever, if you're unhappy with a software that you're using for that specific purpose, continue using that software while you try out the free trials of other organizations, other softwares, and give it a fair shake. It's double work for a week and a half, but give it a fair shake because you may find that you like it. Now, if you're talking about working with people in person, like individual to individual, I think a lot of what Charissa said just really resonates. Like, find people who you like working with. Talk to them on the phone. Don't just do things through email. Schedule a call. Get a feel for how they are going to treat you. Look at their website. Does their website put off warm vibes? Does their website put off a personalized look? Or does it put off a machine look, just putting you in the machine? I think a lot can be had by that. Sometimes it really just honestly comes down to working with someone, and if you have to work with them in order to figure out if you want to work with them, like you have to do that, give them a small job first. Small job first, an easy win, and if they can't deliver a win, and if they can, then trust them with more. So I think that's a couple ways to do it. Charissa, Kyle just clarified. He says, he means nonprofits and nonprofit organization apps versus regular companies. And I'll say that I do think that there is a difference between the software that you should use, but I don't think there's a difference between the concepts of what you should start using from the very beginning. I think nonprofits, they're going to be more interested in donor-based things. They're going to be more interested in tracking people as far as like participation and things like that. And so sales sometimes aren't, quote-unquote sales are sometimes not as easy to track, like especially if you're in a church, you're not going after sales. And honestly, you're really not going after tithe dollars on a week-in, week-out basis. What you're going after is you're going after community involvement. And so that sale is going to look different than if you're in the business world and you're really honestly trying to get someone to purchase your service or your product. But the one thing that both industries, nonprofit and for-profit, need to start off with is a way of tracking their clients, tracking client preferences, tracking client behavior, and that needs to either be done in a client relationship or customer relationship management system, CRM, or it needs to be done in a church, like a church management software. There's lots of them out there, and if you have specific questions about them, I can direct you to some resources, but you need to be tracking the people who identify with your brand and be making note of how they heard about you, their preferences, what they like, and a management software system can do that. Charissa, you want to add anything to that question?
I think you really hit the nail on the head. I think that there are differences, obviously, in business models and things that you need to be prioritizing, whether you are a nonprofit like a church, or I even have nonprofit clients, versus a for-profit business. There are things that are different that you need to focus on, but Dave hit the nail on the head here. What you need to, no matter which side of that fence you fall on, you really have to make sure that you're keeping an eye on whoever your target market is, who your current clients are, and the people that you're chasing after. Chasing after sounds a little bit aggressive for church, but go with me here. I think you need to have a character profile. You need to know who you're affecting. You need to know who you're actually reaching, if that's different than the people that you were trying to reach. And then you need to have a system for them. I'm really, really big on onboarding, you guys, really big on it. You need to have, you need to have a system for them when you get in touch with them, or when you make what a lot of marketing people call initial contact, when you meet them, okay? And that could be a tweet, it could be on the street, that rhymed, awesome. It could be, through email or whatever, through an introduction. You need to have a way to get them into your system. You need to have a way to track that. I don't care if you're going to make a spreadsheet. I don't care if you put it in Evernote. I don't care if you text yourself a reminder, if you put it on your calendar, if you have an automated email program sending them something. I don't care what it is. You need to have a system in place to be able to track your people, no matter which side you're focusing on. Does that answer your question, Kyle? I hope that answers your question.
I think it does, and just a real quick FYI, I'm doing a webinar in 2 weeks on using email, and I'm going to hit a lot about that tracking aspect of client management and how to basically get the right marketing out in front of the right people. And so we'll hit a little bit on that. So if that's something you're interested in, check out my Twitter history because I've got links to that webinar there. You can go to my website and I'll be having a link up there. But yeah, ultimately you want to be tracking your clients. So Charissa, let's get into probably the most fun part of our conversation. Oh, and I want to acknowledge Kate. I saw your question.
Yeah, I saw her.
Great question. I want to let Charissa answer that when she gets to the tool that I know she's going to mention. So we've got it. We see it. Thank you so much. And Charissa will answer that in no time at all. So Charissa, let's get into the type of tech tools that we use right now. Now, there's a lot of these right here. I saw your list. It's a long list. I've got a really long list. So I think what we can do is we can probably just list them out, and then I know on my website I'll put more details, but maybe hit a couple of our favorites. So first, I'm just going to share what my hardware looks like, and real briefly why I use the hardware that I do. So first and foremost, I'm a Mac person. I use Mac computers. I use all Mac ecosystem for the most part. The reason why I use Mac, one is because for the longest time, just the dependability is really, really important for me, especially when I worked in the church. I would install software on multiple computers, and because Macs are so similar and you don't have different manufacturers, it's all Apple. If it works on one Mac, chances are it will work on all the Macs. So software dependability is really helpful for me. I know that if a developer develops it on a Mac, chances are it's going to work on my Mac. Because of that, I use an iPad, iPad mini actually. I don't use a larger iPad because I have a laptop, so I have an iPad mini that I use, that I have with wireless Verizon on it. I use that a lot, and connected to my hardware that I use for video and audio and things like that to help make stuff happen is this camera that you're looking at right now. I'm a real big stickler on video quality. This is a Logitech C930. It's like $100, and it's been totally worth it because video is something that people take in and they want to see you clearly. So it's been a good investment. I use a Blue Yeti microphone, which is great for audio, and for all my professional photo stuff, I use a Canon 7D. So that's kind of the hardware that I use. I just purchased a Chromebook, and the reason why I purchased a Chromebook was because if I don't want to do work, I just use my Chromebook. I can, do everything on the internet, but I don't wind up I'm not able to do, photos, video, graphic development, anything like that. So that's some of the hardware that I use. What do you use hardware-wise, Charissa?
I am right there with you. So I am an Apple girl. I love my Mac. My parents actually own an app development company, so they have a house full of Macs. I was raised on PCs and made the switch to Mac in high school and never looked back, which you'll hear from a lot of people that have drank that Kool-Aid. I obviously, if you didn't know, I like pink, so I have an iPhone 5C and I have an iPad mini too that I use all the time, and I have a Logitech keyboard that attaches to my iPad so that if I don't want to bring this is such a first world problem. If I don't want to bring my 2.5-pound 11-inch MacBook Air, I can bring my I travel a lot, so I got this MacBook Air. I just got it in August because I travel so much that I have to, and I travel for work, so I have to be able to work on the go or in the airplanes or whatever, and I don't want to be carrying a 5 or 6, 7-pound laptop around. So my little MacBook Air is what I work on every day, and it's amazing and I love it. Other stuff, I swear by my big pink Beats headphones. You see me at my desk, I usually have huge pink Beat headphones and my hood up and glasses. I have reading glasses that I wear while I write, and that's kind of my usual MO. So that's my everything pink and everything Apple. That's my hardware.
You know what? There's nothing to argue with there. Nothing to argue with at all.
I know what I like, and that's powerful.
You know what? I've been really pleased with my Mac computers. I have my laptop is from 2009, and you have to understand, like, I do a lot of video and I do a lot of heavy graphics. I mean, I'm not a big illustrator, but I work with big files, big print files. And my MacBook Pro from 2009 is still working like a champ. And then I've got my iMac 27-inch that I bought in, let's see, when did I get that? 2012, right before my son was born. and it's just cranking. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I advocate for the Mac. You don't have to have the Macs. Don't think that you have to have a Mac in order to launch your business. Sometimes it can really help if you're looking for good software to use, because Mac software is really easy to find and it works really well by and large. But you don't have to have a Mac. So don't think that before you can do anything worthwhile you have to use a Mac, because there are lots of great online services out there that don't even utilize applications. So speaking of online services, you want to share a few of the online services that you like to use, and maybe pick out a couple and share why you really like them or connect with them.
Yeah, so we have this. I'll actually feed into, since our online services, I'll feed into Kate's question, and then we have another one too that I want to answer. So Kate asked about she says, here, I'll just read a question. I'm in the beginning stages of my business formation and I have limited understanding of finance and tax software. Suggestions. So my favorite, you guys, and if you followed me for any length of time, you've heard me talk about them. They're called FreshBooks. FreshBooks, BOOKS, all one word, freshbooks.com. I'm not even going to give you an affiliate link because that's how much I want you to go look at them. Like, I don't even care. Go look at them. They're amazing. So basically, it's the only small business accounting finance software that is literally designed for small businesses. They're amazing. They have everything in there, from being able to send an invoice to PayPal integration to integrating Stripe, which is a credit card processor as well, to sending estimates, to creating a client profile. It tracks how quickly your clients pay you. There's an entire back-end system so that if you develop or you have a big following and you have clients that you're taking on that need support, instead of blowing up your email, FreshBooks comes with a back end that allows the clients to open up a help desk ticket. So I actually have staff that monitor my help desk so that my email is not blowing up with clients. You guys, it is amazing. It's amazing. And they literally spell everything out for you. They even have a gateway where you can invite your accountant in so they can look at all your stuff. You can import all your bank expenses. You can categorize them all. So like, we're literally with 2 clicks right now, I can tell you what percentage of my income has gone towards utilities or gone towards my phone or technology. That's the big one. Like, things that I spend so much money on tech. It's disgusting. But really, it's a great software, and they spell everything out for you. It's designed for the person that has never done it before, because that's where I was. I had helped launch businesses, but I had never been the one that has to do everything from the beginning. So I had to be my accountant for a while, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Go to FreshBooks. They are amazing. They have incredible people that work there, amazing customer service, and it's really easy to use. That actually brings me into another question that we have, and I hope that I'm saying your name correctly. I think it's Tarja, I think is how you say your name, but you can correct me if I'm saying it wrong. She asks me, any apps for pricing and where to start building a client base. So talking about pricing, I just talked about this in my workshop. There's a book written by the people that made and created FreshBooks. They wrote this book. I'll give Dave the link to put in his show notes on his website so you guys can get it. It's a free book. It's a free download, and it changed everything for me about pricing, you guys. It's free. You can read it. It basically talks about how to price yourself based on value and how to get away from the hourly pricing model. It's amazing, and it really kind of was a 2x4 to my head. Thank God that I read it right when I started, because if I would have switched and missed it and had to kind of rethink things, it would have been difficult. So I'll definitely make sure that Dave gets that link so you guys can get it in the show notes and his website. That's really my biggest one, because I use it literally every single day. Other things that I use online, I love Slack. You guys have heard me say that. Slack.com is what I run my entire team on. So I use it as a chat platform. Dave and I are on there. We talk about Doc Talk stuff in chat or in Slack, and it's amazing. It's a lot like Basecamp or Red Room or Red Booth if you guys have heard of that. But it's cheaper, and I like the user interface a lot better. Those are my 2 big ones that I use every single day. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a huge list here because, I love me some tech, but I think the big one, the big one that I'm using a lot right now is, Google Apps. So Google Docs, Hangouts, calendar, all that stuff. I use that. I've got a Google Apps for Business account now. I have the free version that it no longer exists. Eventually, I'll have to switch it over to a paid version. But basically, I get access at my domain, so all my stuff is daveshrein.com and shrinemedia.co. But it's all tied to Google Drive. And so the great part about Google Drive is that I can assign permissions. So I've got 3 people working with me right now. And basically what I do is I give them access. I give them their Google access to particular files and folders in Google Drive. And it integrates with Asana and it integrates with Slack. And so what will happen is I'll be in Asana, which is a task management and to-do list platform software service. It's great. I've talked about it before. I'll put a link to a little tidbit on it in the show notes. But I will be in Asana. I'll create a task, and right from there, I can upload a Google spreadsheet. So if it's like credentials, if I'm telling one of my guys to go into a website and change something, what I can do is I can upload that credential spreadsheet right there. I don't have to download anything. I don't have to upload anything. I just click a button and it puts that spreadsheet into Asana. So Google Docs has been just absolutely fantastic. The other thing that I really like about this is that it allows for me to see version changes, and the reason why that's good is because a lot of times what will happen is when you're sending files back and forth to another person, be it a client, a coworker, whatever, they will make changes, and then you'll have your master document, and you'll look through their document trying to identify where the changes are. And I mean, you can turn on like the Microsoft Changes thing, but even still, unless you're all working in Microsoft Word all the time, like you're going to go through and you're going to have problems with revisions. Whereas Google Drive, based upon who's logging in and editing a document, it will show you via color who's logged in, what changes they've made, and you can even go back in time to preview a previous document before you even commit to it, and it'll show you everything that's been done. So Google Docs has been absolutely huge, and I'm even looking at switching to Google Drive for all of my files rather than Dropbox, just because it integrates so well. I love Dropbox. I'd hate to leave them, but Google Docs is just it's saving me hours every single week. So I think that's my big one right now. To talk about FreshBooks, I used to use FreshBooks, and if I did not have an accountant running all my stuff, I would continue to use FreshBooks. But as it is, I got an accountant, and she wanted to do everything in QuickBooks, and because she's handling everything from start to finish, I said that's fine. So I learned how to do what I needed to do in QuickBooks. But if it was still just me, and for the first 2 years, I used FreshBooks exclusively because it is so easy, so easy. It just makes stupid sense to use FreshBooks from out the get-go. So I think that's my big one. Another question that I think a lot of people have is, where should I do hosting at? Like, where should I get my website hosted? Like, do I just buy my domain from GoDaddy, and do I host my website with GoDaddy? And I use HostGator for my website hosting, and it's good. Their support has actually been really good the last couple weeks after a really terrible December. They took like 7 days to get back to me, and I almost left. But somebody else that another company I've been sending people to is Bluehost. And the reason why is because I think their system is a little bit easier for novices to understand, and their tech support does a really good job of getting things set up for you, so you don't have to pay someone like me to set it up for you. You can get in there and figure it out. So I used Bluehost, and I used HostGator for hosting my websites. Now I know you're a fan of, what is it that you like to use, Charissa?
I love Squarespace. Squarespace is my thing, but that's because I am not the back-end techie that Dave is. So I don't deal with things like coding unless I absolutely have to. I don't deal with hosting. I don't deal with like the whole WordPress.org thing. Nope. Like self-hosted stuff just drives me nuts. It's not that I can't do it. It's that it's not in my wheelhouse and I don't want to. Again, there goes the knowing what you want. I don't want to do it, so I go with Squarespace. They're amazing. I love them. My whole team is able to log in through the back end and post whatever they need to, look at whatever they need to. And with the shop that I have integrated there, Squarespace integrates their shop with Stripe, which integrates with FreshBooks, so it's all together.
That's awesome. Those
Yeah.
integrations, that's something that you do want to look for. Whoever's
Yeah.
watching
Oh
out
my
there,
gosh.
that's what you want to look for is how is a new software or service going to integrate into your current flow, not just how it's going to work for you, but do they actually integrate with have API functionality integration with other softwares out there. Slack does an amazing job. Asana does an amazing job with it. Google Drive does an amazing job.
Mhm.
Dropbox does a fantastic job. There's a lot of really good ones out there. Let's talk email real quick. Charissa, what do you use for email, not just for your service, but anything that relates to email?
So I'm a Gmail girl. When you're talking that I'm gonna personally email someone, I use Gmail because it's really, really it's just easy and everyone has it and they're really safe and they do amazing stuff. Kudos to Kyle who's watching tonight. He got me an invite to Inbox, Google Inbox, and I love it. Kyle, I know I've told you thank you, but again, thank you for sending that. It's amazing and I love it. Inbox has been really nice. I used to use Mailbox a lot. I like Inbox better because of their reminders feature. P.S. I have like 10 invites, so if you want one, tag me and DM me your email and I'll send you one if you don't have it yet. I love that. As far as like email automation systems go, I use MailChimp. I love them. You guys have heard me talk about them a lot here. Really easy to use, amazing customer service, and they're free for the most part. Once you get a big enough list, or you do some out-of-the-box things like split testing, automation systems, things like that, then you have to pay a little bit. Like my fee's $10, and I have a huge list, so it's not that expensive. You just gotta kind of know that that's coming if you're starting there. But yeah, I love that. I love MailChimp. And P.S., throwing this in here, going back, you said you have 3 people working with you now. Like,
Mhm.
that's amazing. I'm just going to call attention to that because the last time that we talked about how many people you have working for you, it was you and one other person. So you're growing, which shows that this stuff is working. So kudos to you because growing your team is no small feat.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. Yeah, the guys that I'm working with, I work with 3 guys right now. I just brought on a new guy. His name's
My
John
team's all
Carlson.
women. Your team is all dudes.
What's up?
My team's all women. Your team is all
Yeah.
dudes.
That's funny. Well, it just you find people who you like to work with, and sometimes it just works out that way. But I just brought
So
on a new
funny.
guy, John Carlson. I don't know if you're watching, John, but I'm super stoked to be having you work with me in the team. I've got my buddy Carlos working with me, and I got my buddy Jordan. And I'm actually working on bringing my cousin Stephanie into the fold. She's going to help me with some Pinterest stuff for some clients and some data collection, some research stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I've found that Twitter has been a really good place to recruit different folks that are working that will do great work. So it's been
Yep.
good. Let's see here. My email stuff. I'm a Gmail guy. I love using everything Google. I already talked about that. So Gmail is just fantastic. I do not use an email client like Apple's Mail or AirDrop
Hmm.
or Mailbox or anything like that. I've tried them all. I think some of them are great. But I find that I am most effective when I stay in gmail.com. So whenever you get emails from me, I'm not sending them from a client. I am sending them from the web browser, from gmail.com. It's just easiest for me to organize stuff, and that's the thing. Works for me. Might not work for you, but sometimes it's worth a try to see. For email campaigning, I do use MailChimp. I love using the MailChimp. It lacks some features that an Aweber may have or a GetResponse may have, but what I love about it is that it's so user friendly. You can make your first email campaign in under 10 minutes if you know what you want to say. It's that easy. And when you need to do some of the out of box stuff like Carissa's talking about, they walk you through really clearly using all sorts of videos and clear tutorials how to make that stuff happen. Their automation is really easy to set up. Takes a little bit of thinking how you want it to work, but it's really easy to set up once you know how you want it to work. And then what I do to integrate into that is I use something called lead pages. This is kind of like a buzzword or a buzz company out there. A lot of people are using lead pages to capture URLs, to capture registrations, to capture emails, whatever the case might be. They're a great company. I think they're pricey. I actually think they're probably a little bit too expensive for somebody on my level. But I tried the clear-cut alternative from a company called Optimize Press, and it was just too difficult for me. I mean, I could make it I could make it happen, but it took too much time for me to get something that I thought looked really good. So Lead Pages does save me time, and perhaps that's why they can charge what they do. But I like it. It has really great integrations. Their support is probably an 8 out of 10 in my book. I'd love to see them be a 10 out of 10. But it's great for capturing emails. And if we're going back to that conversation topic with Kyle about knowing what your people are doing, capturing their emails based upon what interests their opt-in magnet you're giving. So an opt-in bribe, like you say, hey, if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get this. So being able to track what they sign up to get, that helps you know a little bit more about their personality. So I use Lead Pages, and it works great. I love it. Let's see here. I use SurveyMonkey. That's one that I use for capturing data when I'm trying to make a decision or thinking about what I want to do in the future, or even getting feedback from clients. I use SurveyMonkey, and they've got a lot of really great free features. I use, let's see here, Toggle is the app that I use for tracking my time to see how much time I'm spending, not just for clients, not just on individual projects, but individual tasks. That's been really, really helpful because I will track all of my time, and then when it comes time for me to re-up negotiations with a client, I can see how much how much I wound up making per hour. I don't charge on what I'm making per hour. I charge based on value, but I do have an ideal of what I would like to make per hour, based upon the value that I can bring. So I use that. It's free for one person, and it's $5 per person for teams. A couple other tools that you use, Charissa?
Yeah, I love the idea of tracking your time. I actually do that through FreshBooks. They have a time tracking tool, which for those of you that are developing teams, you can have your teams track and then automatically create invoices that you can use to pay your team. So that's really awesome. I use that quite a bit. I really, really love Buffer. We've talked about Buffer quite a bit on this series. But yeah, I love Buffer. I love scheduling stuff through them. They're amazing. I love the calendar that I said I would talk about is Sunrise. I love it. We've talked about that on here before. The thing that I haven't talked about that I'm really starting to integrate as of this week, well, as really of last week, but this week with my team, is the Evernote suite. You guys, I used to hear all this buzz about Evernote, and I used to, I think I downloaded it like 4 times, and I just wasn't feeling it. You guys, it took me like forever to figure out what I was supposed to be doing, and it just.
I'm not the only one that's done that. Downloaded something multiple times, just hoping that it would work for me.
No, I do it a lot, actually. I'm okay, like, if you're not right for me right now, maybe it'll be right for me later. So then I just wait, for it to come around again. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, maybe I'll try it. And it never meshed with where I was at. I was too tactile. I needed something to do. So for a lot of time, I survived on pen and paper, and I kind of still do. I have pen and paper with me all the time, but I've learned to integrate technology into that. So I use my iPad with a stylus. And I also have a bamboo Wacom tablet that I write in, and then I transfer those notes to Evernote. So I'm still basically meshing my handwritten and my tactile desire for note-taking, but I'm organizing it in a digital way so I can file through my notes by searching, which is incredible. If you guys haven't done that or are brand new to that, Evernote has their whole suite. They have a bunch of products that the Evernote team has created, not just Evernote, but they have something called Pen Ultimate, which actually is an app for your iPad. You can use a stylus or your finger if you really want to, but I would recommend using a stylus. Write down your notes. You can do drawings. For those of you that are watching, I know there's a bunch of people that are watching that are into fashion. You guys can do sketches and put those in your Evernote. Those are really awesome. I love Pen Ultimate. I love Evernote has another product called Sketch, which allows you to mark up PDFs and images. So like you can say, I actually had someone send me a picture of inside of a bookstore. It was a shelf full of journals, and he said, which one of these should I get? And so I went into Sketch and I drew circles around the ones that I thought he would like. I'm like, get one of these. And so you can, there's a practical application for you, but it works really well, if you're like, hey, I really like this part of your copy, but this part where this is put is not working for me. So I can edit and annotate PDFs like that. That one's really great. And then they just released a new app, like It was on the iTunes App Store as one of the new and noteworthy apps. So it's pretty fairly new, and it's called Scannable. And it's basically it's from the Evernote suite. So it basically will take a picture with your iPhone, or I'm sure that they have it for Android too. Take a picture of whatever you're looking at. It will actually OCR it, which stands for optical character recognition, which means it'll actually read what's on whatever whatever you're taking a picture of or scanning, and then it'll import it, and you'll be able to search through it. So basically what I do with my notes, except instead of handwriting them and having that go transmitted into there, you're taking a picture of whatever it is. I use that all the time. I love Evernote, and it's taken me 4 years to say that, but I love it. I love it.
So let me comment on Evernote, because I love Evernote too. I keep all of my notes in there. However, I found that the more that I was trying to collaborate with people who did not use Evernote, that it was hard for me to keep stuff straight. So what I wound up doing was I wound up writing down what I was going to use Evernote for, so that I didn't contaminate my platforms and have multiple versions of the same thing in multiple places, and not being able to remember where the one version is that I want. So the way that I've set it up is that Evernote is for, and again, this is not the right way, this is my way. Evernote is for notes and brainstorming. Notes and brainstorming. That's what it is. Whenever I'm taking notes on something, I'm brainstorming. I'm just trying to get thoughts out of my head. Word vomit for the keyboard. That's what Evernote is used for. I do not compose in Evernote. I do not do final versions of writing in Evernote. I don't do draft versions in Evernote. I do not do I don't do draft versions in Microsoft. I don't do draft versions in Pages. I do all of my writing and my composition in Google Drive, because then I can share those documents very easily. So if you're going to use multiple tools, take a tip from me. Don't cross-contaminate, because you're going to have a hard time finding what you need. However, when you identify, like Charissa has, what you want to use Evernote for, or any other thing for that matter, stick with it, and you will find that you will fall in love with it every single time, because it will all be where you expect it to be. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I don't compose. I mean, I write for a living. I don't compose copy in Evernote. I use Evernote to keep basically my to-do lists and the people that I need to follow up with, and my current projects. So my current clients that I'm actively writing for, I have that in there, and then I lead all of my workshops out of Evernote. So Evernote, for those of you that don't know or aren't used to it, you can actually share what they call notebooks. And so my VA, Rachel, if you're watching, I love you. She's in my Evernote all the time, and I create her task lists in there every week, and she can just check stuff off. Or, all of my credit card information is in there. So if she needs to purchase something for the business, she can just go get it. She doesn't have to ask me. I've actually used that so that I don't have to go upstairs and grab my credit card. But yeah, I love Evernote, and even though I use it every day, I don't use it to compose. So that's an important point to make. You can have multiple systems, just watch your overlap.
Yep, absolutely. We got a question come in here. The question was from Kate, and she says, I'm thinking about hosting my new brand off of my blog, cleartheway.net. Since it will be somewhat related, is this advisable or no? I've got an opinion. Charissa, you want to share yours?
I think, okay, so here's what I think. If they are closely related enough that they are the same thing, that your brand is going to be Clear the Way apparel, or something that's that similar, sure, host it the same. And keep in mind that I'm coming at this from a copywriter perspective and a marketing perspective, not a hosting perspective. Dave's going to speak to that. So coming from the marketing perspective, if it's that similar, I think you're going to be fine doing it together. If it is different enough that you are questioning whether or not you should have a different URL, think about that. If you need to DM me and ask me more about that, that's fine. I'm cool with it. If I were you and it's going to be more than slightly different, I would do a different thing. That's from a copywriting perspective and a marketing perspective. Dave, talk about hosting, because that's really your strong suit.
Yeah, I think it's simple to set up a second website, and it's simple to have two websites. There's enough templates out there to where you can very easily find quality quality looking stuff for free or for very affordable. I always advise buying templates, never using free WordPress templates or Drupal or whatever it is. The reason I advise buying is because it will be supported, and you want something that's supported because you do not want somebody using Internet Explorer 10 trying to buy something on your store and it doesn't work. So you want to pay for a theme if you truly want to use it for business. Do not use free themes unless you know the developer personally or you know the reputation of the developer and they're giving it away for free. Don't use free themes. Use something that is going to be supported. So from a practical standpoint, you totally can. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to. From an actual operational standpoint, I would say really think about it, and here's why. Keeping one website current and up to date is hard enough when it's just you or just you and one other person. It's really, really difficult to maintain the zeal that you have when you start out for something over a long period of time, especially if you're not seeing the results that you want. And if you're not seeing the results that you want, it's counterintuitive, but what you do is you start neglecting the second platform, which furthers the problem of why you're not getting the results that you want, and it's because there's probably something wrong there with your website, with the way that it's coming across, with the content not being updated, with its countenance, with whatever the case might be. So what I advise is, unless you have a very clear roadmap, we're talking 12 months down the road, you have a very clear business plan of what you want to have happen, do not start a second website. Start on your own current website. If they are related enough. I mean, if they're completely unrelated, you kind of need to throw this out the window and really think if you can maintain two websites. But if they're somewhat related, or you can pull it tightly close to your chest as a personal brand, like something that resembles and represents you and you represent it, I think it's okay to have a section on your website starting off that allows you to kind of keep the dynamic content coming through of it being your personal site or your first site, but also experimenting with a spin-off. And if it really takes off and you really feel constrained by your personal website meshing with this business, then just birth another one. You don't have to keep it together, but do yourself a favor in the beginning. And here's something else that I'll say is, often we think of websites in a way that gratifies us. We want to do stuff because it gratifies us, and it makes us feel like we're getting things done, and it helps us feel like we've got momentum, and it makes us feel more official. If your stuff is good, people don't care if it's at a .com, a .net, a .me, a .co, a .biz, a .tv. Like, they will buy quality stuff if you put out quality stuff. So just remember that too. Like, don't do it to make yourself feel better. Do a separate website because it needs a separate website, not because it makes you feel more official or something like that. So, which that actually leads me into another tool that I've started using. To sell stuff on my personal website, I've started selling webinar training. So I do my webinars absolutely free. I want to give it away. I want people to have the content. But I sell the replays because the content is absolutely phenomenal. It's my best stuff. It's everything that I've learned. So I sell them. And I've been using a program called SendOwl to sell my products. It is the easiest, most straightforward online retail service provider that I've ever been able to find, and it's SendOwl, SendOwl dot, what is it? SendOwl.ly. Just search SendOwl, and you'll be able to find it. But it's great. It allows me to create individual buttons. It allows me to for purchasing. It allows me to create individual buttons for adding items to a cart, and everything happens right there on my website. People don't have to leave my website and go to something else, as long as I integrate with Stripe or one of those shopping cart providers. So I've been using SendOwl to sell stuff rather than building a complete custom WooCommerce cart. And I know Squarespace has their stuff built in, like you already said, Charissa, and you integrate with Stripe, you said?
Yeah, I integrate with Stripe and PayPal, just because PayPal's kind of the industry standard. A lot of my clients pay that way. Stripe connects through Squarespace straight to my bank. So if somebody wants to pay with a credit card, that's fine. It just goes in as an electronic funds transfer into my bank in like 2 days. I also use something called Payroll. I actually just found this last week. My flagship program is called Bliss Boost, and I offered people starting today. There's a blog post actually about it. I offered them the option to split it into 3 payments. So I do that through payroll. And payroll connects, it's a Stripe partner, so payroll connects through Stripe, goes straight through my existing Stripe account. Payroll took me 4 minutes to set up. They said it would take you less than 5, so I timed them because that's who I am. I timed them and it took me 4 minutes. So they literally are not joking. I spent 4 minutes setting them up, and they offer that, and they offer subscription-based payments. So I have people that are on, people that have taken that workshop, and they're now on an editing retainer. They pay me every month to edit their copy, and it just charges them, every single month, whatever fee tier they've decided, and it just goes.
I like that. Isn't that the best endorsement for something? It just goes.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying before, like you have to, there are things that you can set and that they will just go, right? There are things, but that widget is on a page of copy, and I watch that copy's analytics, and I watch how that's performing, and I pay attention, and I edit the copy, and I split test. So while that widget is intact, if I ever change it, I change it, but that doesn't mean I just set it and leave it. There is a little bit of work involved.
Yep, absolutely. Nothing worth doing requires zero work. There's always work related.
Yes.
Enamour Clothing just tweeted out, some are saying websites are becoming obsolete and attention should be put on social media. What are your feelings? And Enamour Clothing, super grateful that you're here. I checked out your website last week. I really love the spin that you're putting on clothing. So if you haven't checked out the Enamour Clothing website yet, you need to. Just check out what's going on there. I know there's a new spring line coming out if it hasn't come out already, and just see what's happening there. But that's a really good question. I'll answer it first, and then I'll let Charissa give her 2 thoughts. Yeah, you need to be putting attention to social media, but I would never say that websites are obsolete, and here's why. Because if one day Mark Zuckerberg decides that the only people who will ever be able to see your pages are people who are 2,000 miles away from you, your Facebook fan page, and they have to be a minimum 2,000 miles away. I mean, that's stupid, but they're going to make stupid things like that. So they control it. They control the environment 100%. You control nothing. If Facebook shuts down, you lose it all. If Facebook decides that pages are going to be no more, then you lose it all. So yeah, you need to invest in those things, but I like what Michael Hyatt says. It's we talked about this a few weeks ago, but it's in platform.
Grab platform.
There you go, another shout out. But he talks about social media as being outposts, and as your website being your home base. And I agree with him 100%. Your website, you control your website, barring your host actually going down, which is why you want to use a big host like HostGator or Bluehost, or there's all sorts of good ones out there. Barring them going down, you control your website. You control the content. No one will shut you down without notice as long as you're using a quality provider. Twitter, they can change the way the feeds work. Facebook can change the way the feed works. Pinterest can do the same. So never make social media the cornerstone of your business, at least not the hub of your business. Always make sure that you're driving traffic back to your website and that there's a reason for people to come back to your website. Your website will be obsolete if it sucks. So make sure that your website is good, because what you're doing, if it's your passion, put your best foot forward on your website. Make sure people want to hang out there. Carissa, your thoughts?
My first thought is that someone needs to tweet that. Your website will be obsolete if it sucks. It is so true. It is so true. I totally agree with Dave on this one. I think both of them are important, but I would never, ever, ever, ever say that websites are obsolete, ever. I think it's way easier for Twitter to blow up in smoke, or Facebook to blow up in smoke, or Snapchat to go down really, 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 really quickly than it is for your website to blow up in smoke. I also think that there's a lot more personality that can come through on your website, because not only are you dealing with content that you're creating, which is where my mind goes first just because of what I do, but you have the aesthetic, you have the usability features, so your UI or your user interface, you have how people are looking at things, you have how people are interacting with things. You have the even like the color scheme of things, the aesthetic, everything is under your control. And so I think that that's really, really powerful. Whereas Twitter, timeline's always going to be in the same place, and your, mentions are always going to be with an @ in front of them because you subscribe to the rules when you play by somebody else's game. And so I think having your website alongside social media is very important because they both create a character profile of who you are when you are and are not working. They should be. But I don't think that you can have just social media. A website is incredibly important, especially for you guys. I mean, doing what you do, you want people to be coming back to your website and looking at your pictures and looking at your line and asking where they can buy it and learning who's designing and who's actually fabricating and where you're getting your materials and how they're sourced and all that stuff. That's way too much content for Twitter. I want to know, what you're having for dinner on Twitter, or oh my gosh, our new shipment came in. Here's a picture. Awesome. I want more meaty content that I can sink my teeth into on your website.
Absolutely. That's good. Now, man, this is such a great topic, and there's so much to talk about. I mean, we've hit 7 o'clock. Do you have I have a little bit more time. Do you have a little bit more time?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
All right, let's keep going, and we'll wrap it up here in a few. But I know that we've each got a little bit more to get to. I'm gonna just spout off a few things, and I'll make the show notes available on my website. If you guys want to learn more about it, I'll do a good job on those this week and make sure that you have access to everything that we use. I want to share a app called Expensify. I don't know if you know about this one, Charissa, because I know you're a big FreshBooks user, but Expensify, it's a fantastic app for the iPhone. I think there's one for the Android as well.
Oh, cool.
It allows you to take pictures of your receipts, and I've used apps that do that before. This is the best one. I've used probably 15 or 16 apps, both paid and free, probably spent $30 or $40 trying to find the right one. Expensify is free for your phone, and it's like $5 a month per user, and you snap a picture of it, it loads everything up to the cloud. It creates your reports for you. I think it integrates into FreshBooks. I know it integrates into QuickBooks. If you're doing reimbursements, it allows you to put them all on a reimbursable form. It's fantastic. So Expensify is something that I'm using all the time, and my accountant loves me. MediaLoot is a place I go for all sorts of graphics. It's I think it's $14 a month for unlimited graphic download. Some of the most quality graphics I've seen out there. MediaLoot, it's fantastic. Mofo.to, so Mophoto, MOPHO.to, is $5 a month or $50 a year, and it's quality stock photography. It's on the same level as Unsplash, which is the next one that I have written down, unsplash.com. Mophoto costs money, but it's really, really quality, and it has a better selection, and it has a search feature, which it goes back to if you're going to, when you pay for stuff, you get better quality. Death to the Stock Photo, I know they've watched several times. I love their stuff. I subscribe. I pay $10 a month for photos, and I use like 15 of them this week. I love their stuff, and I'm an Amazon Prime member. I love Amazon Prime because it allows me to order what I need when I'm thinking about it, and I don't have to worry about shipping or all that jazz. I can just order it. Do you have any services that you just want to spout off real quick, Charissa?
I'm thinking Amazon Prime. I really, really like Amazon Prime. I'm trying to think of other subscription-based things that I like, or services that I like. I really do like Amazon Prime. I actually order all of my groceries online. There's a random tech thing for you, so that I don't have to leave my office. I protect my time, so I order my groceries online and they get delivered. It's awesome. I think really the most important thing is knowing that what you get you can use. Knowing that you're really able to take full advantage and that something is serving you. Because I know as a freelancer, when you're starting out, you might not have a lot of money, or you might be a couple of weeks in between clients, or you might wonder, okay, I was really used to my checks every 2 weeks when I was working at corporate, and now I don't have that, and what do I do? So you really want to make sure you're investing in something that's going to be serving you, and that's something that you can use. I say go with something that you love, and you're not going to resent spending your money there.
Yep. 2 more things that I want to mention. There's a new social media scheduler, and I don't know if you've even looked at it, Charissa. I think you've probably heard of it, but it's called Edgar. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I have heard of Edgar, and I have clients that use Edgar.
Yeah. So, have you logged in at all? Have you taken a look?
No, I haven't. I was actually thinking about that this morning, though. I'm very curious.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They don't have they sent me an email and I haven't looked at it yet, but they don't have any clear-cut mobile support, which I'm kind of bummed about, and they have no plans on developing a mobile app. However, the
Mm.
concept is so strong that
Yeah.
I think they can probably overcome it. Basically, the concept is even with buffer, once you tweet, it dies. Unless you rebuffer it
Yeah.
or unless you copy and paste it, once you tweet, that tweet dies. Edgar is completely different in that you have a library, much like there's a public library in your city, and all the books are there, and you can check them in and check them out. That's how Edgar works. You kind of check in and check out tweets, Facebook posts, LinkedIn posts. You put all of your content. So I actually had one of my employees go through and listen to all of the DAC talks and take quotes from them.
What?
And I've been adding those quotes into Edgar. And so I've got something like 200, 300 quotes. And what I can then do is, and I put those in a category called DAC Talk. I have a category called leadership, communication, self-promotion, products and sales, DAC Talk. And so what I do is I say every Wednesday at 2 p.m. I want a DAC Talk quote to go out. Every Thursday at 11 a.m. I want a DAC Talk quote to go out. And it'll pull from that library. So if every 200 time slots, it'll begin to repeat. So, you want to have a good amount in there so you're not repeating the same thing over and over. But, 200 tweets, if it takes you 6 months to get through 200 tweets based upon your schedule, then it repeats. And those tweets or those Facebook posts don't die. So I really like it. It's pricey. It's $50 a month. But, hey, if it can
Yeah.
save me time, then it's going to be worth it because I cannot get back time. I can always make more money, though. So Edgar's one that I've been experimenting with and I like. And the last thing that I'm going to mention is a software called 1Password. Now, this is a password manager. I think
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about it in a past DAC talk. I cannot remember. I think I did in our top 5
Yeah.
tools. But I'm just
Yeah.
going to mention it a little bit here. Your passwords are not secure. Like you think they are, but they can be compromised. And even us talking about a company we love so much, Evernote, 2 years ago, their passwords, every single username and password is compromised, and they asked everybody
Yeah.
to change their password. Your passwords, you have to operate on the belief, under the understanding that they are not secure and they will be compromised. 1Password manages all of your passwords in one place. So all you have to do is remember 1Password, and you can access all of the site passwords you've saved. And they also allow you to create randomly generated passwords that are so complex that it will be very hard, if passwords are compromised, it will be very hard for people to decrypt what your password is. So I'm going to do an actual screen tutorial on how 1Password works. But if you're going to be sharing passwords with clients, if you're going to be sharing passwords with employees, if clients are going to be sharing passwords with you, protect yourself. Do everything that you can to make sure passwords are safe, make sure passwords are not easy to guess. Do everything you can to protect yourself because it can come back to haunt you and it can come back to hurt you. So I recommend 1Password. It's not cheap, but then again, nothing good is. So recommend Password. We've got a couple more minutes here, Charissa. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything that that has kept you from using tech that you overcome, and now now you want to share that? Anything else that we want to close up with here?
Anything else? I'm going to second what you say about Google Drive. I didn't talk about that earlier. I run a lot of my client editing and for my workshops. I know Miko's watching. He can attest to this. I do all of my editing during Bliss Boost, my flagship workshop, inside of Google Docs, inside of Google Drive. It's amazing. I really love how usable it is and how easy it is. Everyone has Gmail. You guys, I actually have a client, like 2 weeks ago, she had an AOL.com email address. I just wanted to set her up a Gmail and just do it for her. I'd be like, I just got you Gmail, you're fine. But yeah, everybody has Gmail. Everybody pretty much knows how to work Google Docs, Google Drive, and their sharing capabilities are amazing. Their permissions are awesome. Dave touched on this. I use Google Drive a lot. I'm somebody that likes to keep things really organized as far as my files go. So I literally have a client folder for every client I've ever worked on. And then inside of there, if we have more than one project, so like say that I worked with Dave and I worked with Dave June, July, August, and September. Well, I have a Dave Shrein folder. And then inside of there, I have a June folder and a July folder and an August folder and a September folder. And then inside each of those, I have, contracts and service agreements and rough drafts of copy and all that kind of stuff. That's just how I keep everything organized. And Google Drive is instrumental in that.
Yep.
Yep.
Google Drive rocks. So we'll take a few more seconds here. If anybody has any last-minute questions, I can see that you all are still watching. So thanks so much for hanging out with us. Use DAC Talk if you want to ask any final questions. This is a huge topic. I have stuff written down, and I know you do too, Charissa, that we didn't even get to. So we'll probably have to put another one like this in the fold at some point in time, because I know that this sort of stuff really perplexes people, and a lot of mental energy and a lot of effort is spent trying to figure out what's going to be best for your business. And you want to do what's right, you want to do what makes sense, but you want to do something that's within your ability to make happen. So I think my final advice, and if no other questions come through, what I'll leave you guys with is just kind of some of the stuff that I started with. Really know what it is that you want to accomplish. Get very clear on what it is you need out of your website, what you need out of social media, what you need that you currently are lacking or currently are not optimizing. Really become honest with those things, because the more simple you make the problem out to be, the easier it will be to identify a solution for that problem. I think writing these things down is helpful. Charissa talks about having a physical pen and paper. I think there's a place for that. My buddy bought me a journal here for.
Moleskine.
Yeah, I love it, and he bought it for me for Christmas, and I've just been filling it with all of the thoughts that I have, things that just don't make sense. Here's diagrams, notes, things that just don't make sense for putting into Evernote. So there's still something to be said about writing things down. When you write things down, often it becomes a whole lot clearer. I've got my whiteboard back there. So become clear on what your goals are, what you need. Don't take on too many things at one time, and don't think that tech is going to solve all your problems. Tech will only amplify the clarity that you have within your business. So any final thoughts, Charissa?
I know that a lot of you are leaving this with a ton of resources and a ton of ideas and a ton of, oh my gosh, they use that and I want to use it. That is awesome. I love that you're leaving inspired. What I don't want you to do is implement everything all at once, because then by the time the next Doc Talk comes around in 2 weeks, you guys are going to be left with, patches of no hair from being like, oh my gosh, this isn't working and I don't like this and they told me this and it's crazy. What I want you to do is scale it, okay? So pick 2 things that are in different fields. So don't pick 2 financial back-end things. Don't pick, 2 note-taking systems. Don't pick 2 calendars. Pick 1 from each bucket and implement the new ones and see how they compete with the ones that you currently have. And then if you like them, phase them in and phase the other ones out over a week, and then implement new things. I don't want you guys can read all the tweets. You guys are so excited, and I love that. I don't want that excitement to end up, I don't want you to end up getting bit by it. So just watch yourself as you implement. Give yourself time and space, and really honor your process. If you feel like you need more time, take more time. There's nothing wrong with that. It's your business.
Fantastic. I love it. Find yourself right. Right, Charissa?
Yeah, find yourself right.
Very good. Guys, we love you. Thanks so much for being a part tonight. If you're just joining us for the first time tonight, go to daveandcharissa.com and you will be able to find a link to this episode as well as all past episodes. This is our best stuff, guys. We don't hold anything back. We're not keeping our best stuff behind us and putting out, subpar stuff in hopes that, you'll pay us for our services. No, this is the very best that we have to offer. And so we have 8 episodes now available, absolutely free. We're going to be releasing a podcast version of Dave and Charissa in the near future. Really, really excited about that, because we know a lot of people don't have time to sit down in front of the screen and watch a YouTube video, so we're going to make it available mobile. That will be coming in the next month or so. I don't know. Don't hold me to it. We'll see. But this is the best that we have to offer. So go back. listen to those past episodes, ask questions on Twitter, leave questions in the comment field. Like we will be more than willing to help you set up your business to succeed, and that's because so many people have done the very same thing for us. So love you guys, thank you, and we'll see you in another 2 weeks. Sound good, Charissa?
Bye. Thanks for being here, you guys. See you
Bye,
soon.
guys. We'll see ya.